My musings on molestation and Milo. Conservative speaker and troll Milo Yiannopoulos has fallen out of favor over comments that seem to condone or at least rationalize sex with 14-year-olds. Milo is a gay man who at age 14 had a relationship with a priest. I believe he'd been molested prior to that, but I'm not sure and honestly haven't spent the time to research that much. I will point out that the age of consent is different from country to country and from state to state. It's a cultural thing. Now, when my stepfather molested me when I was 17, the issue wasn't so much my age, which was legal in that state, but how he coerced me into betraying my mother and the rest of his total mindfuck. Everyone needs to watch out for the authority figures, stepfathers, coaches, clergy, like Milo's father Michael. I'm throwing my 2 cents in because there's something going on here that I really haven't heard discussed by anyone thus far. The Milo situation reminds me of a story related to me by my father's wife about the last time my brother, the drug addict, visited them for the holidays. Little brother made some kind of crack about child molesters in the presence of the younger children. I can't remember what was said because I wasn't there, but Dad's wife was very angry at little brother for verbalizing that sort of thing in front of the younger kids. She conveniently forgot that he was a molestation victim. Yes, whatever he said was in bad taste, but the fact that he would say that in her presence speaks to how disturbed he still was. You see, the worst thing about child molestation, the most pervasive and virulent thing, the reasons why it needs to be stamped out completely in a perfect world, is what happens to you. You are infected. Your innocence is stolen. Now you carry around that darkness inside of you. Because the very worst thing about molestation, unless what happened was physically violent, which would certainly be the most heinous thing, is how it makes you feel about yourself. It is absurd to expect Milo or anyone else who has been molested to look at molestation, pedophilia, statutory rape, or anything of the sort through the same sort of lens as a non-victim. I mean, of course it's a horrible thing. Of course it's something that should never be forced upon anyone. On that we can all agree. But when you've lived through this, and that's a big if because some people aren't able to integrate their experience and make peace with what happened to them. But if you've moved on with your life and channeled that dark energy in whatever manner you have the perspective of having made lemonade from a literal sack full of lemons, and you've had to transform a heavy, heavy experience into something you could work with. Misfortune has made you into a different person than you would have been if you hadn't have been messed with. Now, Milo is who he is. For a public figure, his life is a fairly open book. Milo talks about how people are messy and complicated, and that is 100% correct. And life is full of bad people who do bad things. And oftentimes, bad things happen to good people. And sometimes, good people go bad. But usually, good people who have befallen bad things struggle to move on and heal. And make mistakes. I'm certainly in that category. I want to do the right thing, but sometimes it's hard to know the right thing to do or say. If Milo hadn't lived through the things he lived through, we might never have heard of him. Whatever that X factor is that propelled him into the spotlight probably wouldn't have been there. Milo might have grown up to be a fairly ordinary guy, married and raising a family. Perhaps. We will never know. But what we do know is sexual abuse changes a person. And shunning him because he says things that make some of us feel uncomfortable is chicken shit and is nothing short of blaming the victim.